What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Sorry for anyone who came at like 8 o'clock. It was a scheduling error. But the good news is we're late, so I managed to bring some backup along. It's Scottish Prepper 73. How you doing, Brian?
Not too bad, mate. I was just looking for the backup. I don't know who that was.
It's the accent. It's the Scottish accent. You know, you could just need to stand there and look mean. You're all right.
You know what's bad? I actually make a conscious effort to try and speak slower because I've worked all over the UK, and generally people look at you as if you've got horns. So
yeah, we've had that. Her family's come down and was asking for directions, and she said to somebody, "Are you fair here?" And then they looked at her like, "What are you on about?" That's translation. Are you from here? But yeah, she speaks slower now. So, but when she goes up with her family, I can't understand any of them. I just sit in the smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Just record it and play it back slower.
Yeah, I'm going to invent a Scottish translator. I'll make a fortune. In the comments, we have Lilith. Hi, Lilith. Monkey Wrench. That's Kelly. He's here. Trade Prepper. Barry J. Page. Joe Smith. Sambo. Telda Boy. Neil Jackson. All in the chat so far. There's a few other people in there. 23 watching. Feel free to get your questions in, gents. We've not done, ladies and gents, sorry. We've not done a preempt to this, so I've not got reams of questions to get through. So you're talking to us live. So make sure you get the questions in the chat for me or for Scottish or for both of us, whatever you want to do. First off, I want to talk about the question that I asked the people, which was, I got some stick for this, by the way. It was, when will we see nuclear weapons used in a conflict? 226 people replied to that one. And I got stick for being fear-mongering, not just, gathering data.
You both. I blocked about half a dozen.
Well, it was literally just to see where people's thoughts were. And interestingly enough, only 25% of people said never, which I found quite shocking. I know the whole world's in a mess, but to actually physically use nuclear weapons in a conflict, I'm kind of siding on the never side, with it being mutually assured destruction. I'm not talking about a rogue nuclear weapon from a terrorist group or anything like that. I'm talking about a nation launching them. What's your thoughts on it, Brian?
State actor using a weapon of mass destruction. It's possible. It's possible. But I think it'll be an act of brinksmanship gone wrong rather than a specified act. So somebody miscalculates and presses the wrong thing at the wrong time. Failing that, the only other scenario I would envisage would be things start going really badly for Russia, and as they're retreating, they drop a tactical nuke on Ukrainian positions to wipe out large troop concentrations, and then blame it on the Ukrainians and said they were just about to do it to them and it went off. And most of NATO would want to believe the lie anyway, because the alternative is for hot rocks to start flying.
Yeah.
So,
do you think he knows that? Do you think he knows that, and that'll play a part of playing that card?
I think so, because people would want to believe the lie. But here's the choice they're given. Right, okay, we didn't do it. We said it's them that did it, and as a precaution, we're putting all our own nuclear weapons on an alert posture. And if anybody counterattacks us, we're going to nuke your entire country. Most of NATO would believe the lie, because the alternative is for the cities and population centres to get zapped.
Yeah, so believe the lie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, so in that timeline, I don't know if you actually answered the question, because I don't see who answers what. So in that timeline, did you have an idea, or were you with never, or?
If the advance of Ukraine had kept its momentum up last year when they were taking swaths of territory, that was for me the most dangerous time, because I could quite easily envisage somebody just dropping a tactical nuke and saying, right, boom, that's it, done. Line in the sand, you're not going any further. Plus, it gets rid of a large number of troop concentrations just gone overnight.
Yeah.
That for me was the most worrying time out of the whole conflict.
Yeah, the fear people are also touting the fact that he's just been and met with North Korea, right? And I think that's to try and get their satellite into space and increase their program that way. And personally, I think it's all to do with trade. We've sanctioned both these countries to the point of zero. So there's nothing left to sanction. So they have to compete with each other. That they're just trying to survive in that way. So I'm not as fearful of that. Personally, I think the Kim dynasty, if they launched any sort of nuke at anyone, realize that's the end of it.
Yes.
They're gone. There's no way he would do that.
I think the North Korean proposition is an entirely different thing. It opens up another potential hostile thing that they need to deploy troops for or be aware of and occupy attention. But even more so, all the old crap they gave them in the 60s and 70s, T-54, 62s, old munitions, they're basically buying the old shit that they gave away in the first place. So they're getting all that crap back.
At a premium, probably.
Yeah, they're just paying for it in oil. But more worrying than that, what are they going through at a more horrific rate than munitions? It's bullet magnets, it's bodies. So he doesn't give a crap about his populace. I think the next thing you'll see in shipping containers is people.
Troops, do you reckon?
Yeah.
Ooh, that could be...
Volunteers for dear father.
That would be major escalation on the US front, I think. I don't think South Korea would be too happy with that. Let's pull in a question before I lose track of the chat. This is for both of us. What's your number one prepper item personally and why? I'll go first. Mine's my Leatherman, but just because regardless of every other tool, that's always going to be in my pocket and probably is the one thing I go to on a regular basis, even if SHTF's not happened. So it's got to be that for me.
What is your favourite one out of all your preps?
Yeah. What's your number one prepper item personally and why?
Power bank.
Just a power bank.
The EcoFlow, my kind of favourite go-to item is the power bank, because there's so many scenarios just for making your life easier that we rely for power on, and it does everything. So in terms of making your life easy in any sort of disaster, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for the question there, Barry J. Page. That was one from the chat. So yeah, the 0 to 6 months one scares me. The fact that 26% of people think that, I mean, they should be digging a hole right about now. I mean, that's no time to prep for me if it was 0 to 6 months. Think any sort of realistic chance on that one?
Do you know what's even more worrying than the people that believe that, which I'm not discounting at all? There's no sense of urgency. I don't see shelves getting ravaged by panicked buyers or anything. We're sleepwalking into a conflict that could end the human race, and yet, it's like, let's just buy more shit and TVs.
Well, I mean, unless you're part of this survivalist community, a lot of people have the mentality of, if it happens, it happens. I'll just keep drinking Carlsberg till Weatherspoons kicks me out, right? That's what a lot of the nation's like now. We don't bat an eyelid. So it's only what shocked me was the 26% was preppers.
Yes.
But they might be panic buying, but you just wouldn't notice, right? In such a...
I don't think they are. Well, those people were community that we're part of, like-minded individuals that we agree on some things, we disagree on others, which is great. Promotes content conversation. They're not going to be panic buying. They're on here tonight to try and bounce ideas off one another, ask questions to avoid panic.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, and that's one thing I don't want to promote in any way, shape, or form. And that was the whole point of the survey, was to discuss it in a rational way. And like I say, my personal thinking is I don't think it would ever happen. I mean, your theory is valid, and it's a worrying one because obviously you back anything into a corner and it might lash out, right?
It does make you think about starving the Ukrainians of munitions. They want them to succeed, but only to the point of bleeding Russia for troops and weapons, and hope that sanctions will make them come to the table. So they want them to succeed, but not too much in case things go wrong. So they're drip feeding them weapons all the time.
Yeah. Paul Thomas says if Putin was going to use a nuke, he would have already used one. It's who comes after him we have to worry about. Does anyone come after him? He's gonna be held up together. Life support machines still winning elections, right?
It's an interesting theory, though. I mean, if he launches one, he would have done it. Possibly. When he started the conventional conflict that we're in, he probably didn't believe he had to.
Yeah.
There was no panic. That he believed that the massive formations of armour that they had would be enough to steamroll Ukraine, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah. I've got a question, Mike. Are you a reservist? No, I thought about going into the reserves, and turns out I'm too old now. I have no doubt in the next year or two they will up that limit, and when they do, I'll probably rejoin. Lilith says her Bugout plan is the best one I've seen. Go to the Winchester and wait for it all to blow over. That's the way to do it. Teleboy's got a question for both of us. You can go first on this one. Are you a survivalist or are you a prepper?
That depends on your perspective. I think you're a prepper so that you survive. I think the two are the same, or at very least linked, because you want to survive, and to survive you prep, and the more you prep, the greater your chance of survival. So my answer to that would be both. Hopefully.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Survivalist to me is the mental side of things. I think survivalist is a mentality, right? With zero preps, you're still trying to survive, and you've still got the skills that you develop for that. And the prepper side just makes that a bit easier. So yeah, I think we're both on the same page for that one. Monkey Wrench Kelly has asked for both of us, how much physical water do you store and how? Right, I'll go first because my answer is going to be shorter than Brian's. I've got like, I don't know, 20 or 35 litre bottles, a few cases of normal plastic water bottles, and I've got plans in place for if it happens. So that's all I store. I haven't got the space to store huge containers. I would if I could. Hopefully when I move, that'll change. But I've got a setup ready to go for rain catching, and I've got 2 barrels set up to fill before the water goes off and everything else like that. So that's me. Storage wise, not all that much, unfortunately. Brian, would you like to field this one?
I store 165 gallons and 3 55-gallon plastic drums. That if you've got the space, they're blue and they're food safe. Any sites you're going past or look on Marketplace, food grade, as long as you know what's in it. I got them for like a tenner. I gave the guy an extra 10 quid and he dropped the 3 of them off. So if I had more space, I'd have more water. And I'd drain them and fill them every 6 months so that, I don't need to worry about chlorination or anything like that because it's always refreshed. But when I build the workshop next year, I'll double that.
Have you done the math on that? Do you know how long that's going to last you?
It'll last me 165 days. Depending on how keen the kids are on surviving and the wife and annoying me, she might get some of the water. So the more bodies in that, I'll go with the age-old adage of 1 gallon per person per day.
Yeah.
If I could stick to that, that would be great. But I think it's conservative.
Do you? I find that allowance quite generous for somebody that doesn't drink all that much water.
See, I don't drink water only because there's cans of Pepsi everywhere.
Yeah,
that's my biggest fear for the apocalypse, Mike. No Pepsi.
So what we need is some sort of device to convert his water into Pepsi at will, and then we're good.
Please.
It's a weird question from Utah Mike. How many are taking prepping seriously? Now, I assume he means in the populace, right? Because we're both on a prepper channel, so we both take it relatively seriously as best we can, with a sense of humor, of course. Do you think this government campaign's created more preppers? Do you think a lot more people are going to start taking it up and taking it seriously?
I think it's provoked some talking points, which is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know 72 hours is never going to be enough. But how many are taking prepping seriously? You only have to talk to people in your own immediate family and friends to realise that not that many.
Yeah.
Not that many, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sadly in that way, but you know, more resources for us, right? I'm only joking. I don't wish ill upon anybody, but yeah. I'm glad it's got people talking. The 72 hours has actually disappeared, I think,
Yeah,
off
it's
the
gone.
site, and now it's like a few. Or in its the wording. I can't remember if the wording's changed. I tried to use that Wayback Machine online today to try and find the original iteration of it, but it doesn't have a screenshot of it. So I wish I'd took one. But it also says like for flooding and for anything emergency, and I'm sure that's all it said. But now it says, "Or you're asked to stay at home," which would indicate lockdown again, sort of thing. So yeah, that's quite interesting. Is this just to stop runs on the shops? Question from Mr. Atom Blue. If you haven't already got a Geiger counter or dosimeter, what is it on your list, or is it a last minute buy? I've got a one that I don't quite trust because it was too cheap. I don't know how I test it apart from, go to the local reactor. So a better one's on my list. Is that something you've prepped, Ryan?
No, not in the slightest, and I've no intention of getting one. If it was that sort of scenario that I have to worry about checking for radiation levels, or you think there's an issue with radiation, don't leave the home. Stay in. Make sure you've got as much mass between you and outside. And if you know there's been a detonation or an event, then obviously the half-life over a period of time will drop very, very, very quickly. The only time it's going to be an issue for a Geiger counter is if you're looking at food sources or water.
Does it not play an impact for the like potassium iodide, the dosage and stuff like that? Do you not need to know? So you know.
My wife, she's not got any thyroid glands, so she doesn't really worry about absorption into her thyroid. So, and I don't like red wine, and I don't keep iodine either. Yeah. So
you don't keep it. Oh, I've
could, but I don't.
I found my bartering tool for you.
I'll go the Frey Bentos pies to iodine then.
Yeah, that's it. We'll have to work out a ratio. Thank you for the donation that just came in. Glass Future Patchorley. I think that's how you're saying your name there. Much appreciated. I will get down there if you've got a comment. I'm still working my way down. It's a big one from Neil Jackson. What are your views for prepping for a long-term power outage? This is a good one for me and Brian because we're pretty much doing the same sort of things. If an outage is long-term, then the internet may not be coming back anytime soon. Same for mobile phones and radio repeaters. So I'll let you go, Brian, because you mainly started prepping through grid down, right? For the potential of that.
You want to keep it simple, but you're going to need a power source. The longer the power is out, the less chance it's going to come back, right? Because all the tools and the command and control are moving Jimmy the electrician to the power lines and getting the fuel and getting the lorry and all the rest of it. As time goes on, somebody's probably eating him, right? Or his family or whatever. So that's flippant, but it's basically true. And as they start to power things back on, shit will break, shit will burn out, there'll be problems. But in the short term, buy a power bank, even a little one for your phone. There's lots of things you can do. I've went overboard, as Mike knows, I'm kind of tonto, but I've got solar on the roof, 12 kilowatts of batteries in the home, petrol generator. I generally keep about 60 gallons of petrol. I've got 2 kilowatt power bank now, and I'm buying another 2 in a fortnight, basically. Yeah. So you don't have to do that. That's because I'm slightly nuts. But Easy. I want to be comfortable. I want to make my life easy. But if the longer things go down, the less chances are of it ever coming back. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same sort of thinking. I'm not quite as nuts as you, because as you know, I'm looking to move, so there's no point starting installing all that stuff. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to move and put it all in before SHTF, you know, if it's kind to me. But I've started looking more to the route of living without the power. I think that's where my mindset's going at the moment, because as much as I'll prep power banks, things like that, these things only have a finite life anyway, and there's no guarantee that it's all going to work, and you're still going to have to improvise other things. So I think the more you could look at learning from the past, I've been looking at the Amish community, because they're kind of like that 1800s technology, you know, and that's how they live, and the tools they use and the house building they do and things like that. That's kind of a way off into the future if the power's gone.
This could work for me, because I'll be doing a barn building next year, making the workshop. So if you've got any Amish barn building skills, I'll be knocking your door, mate.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's not a problem. I as long as I'm paid in beer and potentially whiskey, that's all that matters. And pies. What's the Frey Bentos rate?
I think we're going to 10 pies, mate, at least per side.
Here's your 32-sided barn. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, so that's kind of my thinking on it. Tellerboy, what is your main plan for bugging out if you had to? Now, yeah, we're both. I think we're both bugging primarily. My plan is to steal Brian's bug out vehicle. No.
Thanks, mate.
No, I'm genuinely starting training now and walking and seeing routes I could potentially take if it was a case of bugging out without a potential vehicle. I've recently got an EV. I know lots of people just rolled their eyes and left the stream, but it's one of those things that was a work benefit. But I am now starting looking at how you could charge that off grid as well. So that's a potential bug out vehicle. Now, if I had to bug out with the family, I've got enough camping supplies to, you know, camp out a 10-person army, because we do it all the time anyway. So that's kind of my initial plan. We would camp, but on the way to a location. And we have 2, potentially 3 safe locations we can go to. So my bug out would never be going to the wilderness. It would always be go to somewhere, go to a designated point, go to a safe place. Don't go and try and live in the Yorkshire moors. Somebody's going to come across you and just take all your stuff. If you had to bug out, Brian, have you put any thought into that?
Yes. So the little 30-litre blue barrels, I'm not even lifting out of the cupboard, but get those, pre-position them on the route, dig them down, put some dirt on it, sprinkle some nails on the top or coins, and don't forget where you've put it. Check on it once a year. Realistically, that's assuming I'm walking. Ideally, hopefully I jump in the camper van and I get to where I want to go. And like I think we touched on the other night, for me that would be a building that's state owned but no security, that's large trees, wells, and there's lots of them. Something that's got a lot of free ground round about it. You'll see any approach, but it's got an abundant fuel source and fresh water.
Yeah. Cool. That answers that one. This is a really interesting one from Sambo. How would you prep for a tsunami situation? As living in the United Kingdom, there's a strong possibility of it happening. Now, I assume when he says strong possibility, he's talking about this missile that Russia's bragged about.
The Poseidon.
Yeah, they would just blow it up and flood us all. So, I mean, I don't think I've prepped for that because I'm quite landlocked where I am and I'm quite high up, and that is an extreme scenario. I think I might prep for it one day, but I'll have to have finished everything else. I'll have to completed prepping, and then I'll think, oh, may as well get a boat. Something you've thought about, Brian?
No, I'm aware of the weapon, but it would effectively be a dirty bomb anyway, and it would irradiate the water and splash it inland. So even if you weren't in the area of the tsunami, it's going to bollocks up the aquifers and your water supplies and everything else. So it's going to cause you problems. But I don't even know how I would begin to prep for that, because for most people on coastal or river areas, geography is going to screw them over.
Yeah. It's a very specific scenario to prep for. Definitely. Yeah. Maybe if we had our own personal plane, that would be the prep, right? Bug out to the skies.
Prep or surfboards. Could it be a thing?
Just take a full bottle of potassium iodide, jump on the surfboard, and enjoy the ride.
Cowabunga, baby. Welcome to the apocalypse.
Deej ISG says, hi folks, Frank from the Irish Survivalist and Prepper group here. We're going 15 plus years, started as a survivalist, but we see what's potentially coming down the road, so prepping is vital. That's interesting. Who else? I think I've had somebody on the channel from an Irish prepping group actually, so I wonder if that's related. No question there though.
Totally agree.
Sorry, I'm trying to get past actual huge comments and put in questions. I'll put this up because this was the £5 donation from Glass Future. Lemon character doing shoulder shimmy dance moves. That's what that says. So I assume it was a graphic that I can't see.
I feel cheated. I didn't see it actually. I'd like to see that.
So it's really sold with the name, isn't it? Sorry, what's that's not to me. They're asking Utah Mike questions. Don't ask somebody called Mike in the chat questions. That's just going to confuse the hell out of me. Let's pull up one of the ones that was from before, just while I'm looking through. What do we do when SHTF is close? I.e., how can we judge? That's from Lorraine Boosie. With lots of disinformation around, both from the mainstream media and the non-mainstream media. What's your go-to on this, Brian? What do you use as a source?
Not any one source. You would have to canvass all the opinion, and it would depend on the nature of the shit hits the fan. If you're seeing restrictions on movement, freedom of travel, announcements on rationing, or a sudden lack of movement in stores, but you can't purchase things, limited purchases, more frequent power failures, cyber attacks, or large volumes of troop movements, or confiscation of assets of warehouses and things. There could be a lot of different things, but basically anything out of the ordinary, which, given the amount of crap that's going on just now, that's a tall order. But trust your instincts. If somebody says, don't worry, but you've got to stay at home for the next 24 hours, well, I would worry. That's out of the ordinary. So trust your instincts. If something's restricting your freedom of travel, what you can buy, where you can go, that's a problem. Yeah, definitely. Do you think that's a warning sign already then? The fact that we've had a prepare website suddenly come out the blue and be promoted? I think it's lipstick on a pig. They're aware that there's problems in the world that we've got no preparation for, and this is a sticking plaster, so that further down the line they could say, well, we told you, as the lights go out for 3 weeks and you've got a couple of tins of beans. As long as you've got your wind-up torch, you're good. That was not a good look from this side of the screen. I'm just going to tell you that. It looked really, really bad. There we go. We'll get that into a short later on. That's the short clip sorted there. If anyone got a chance as well after this, go and check out the Bugout shop. Their recent video, he talks about the downfalls of wind-up torches, and he's a much funnier face winding it than I am. There's a question specifically for you here, Brian. Oh no. How will you cook your Frey Bed toes without power? I'd like to think with the amount of money I've spent and things that I've got, I'll have power. Let's assume I don't. I'll take one of the hundreds of tea lights I've got, cut a hole in the top for ventilation, and make a little stand and put some tea lights under it. About 20 minutes, half an hour, it'll be good to go. Right, you need to test this. This has got to be the next Scottish Prepper 73 video. I'll end up looking like the Invisible Man, and the video will be exploding Frey Bed pies and how not to do it with candles, mate. I'll just be covered in bandages and shame.
Yeah, but it'll be your highest grossing video yet.
Not high bar, to be honest.
Mark has spoilers. Mark, that was going to be a video I was going to do soon with a Dutch oven. He says he cooks well, and he's tested it. Yeah, a Dutch oven. For anyone who doesn't know, it's like a cast iron style big pot, but it's got the legs on, so it's not like really direct heat on it. You can put it on a campfire, you can put it over a gas stove, anything like that. Don't do it with a Pyrex dish. Few people have tried. That is exploding glass. Don't put a Pyrex dish on direct heat. But a Dutch oven with the lid on, it will rise just like a normal oven. It might get a bit crispy on the bottom, but let's be fair, you can never scrape the bottom off it anyway, can you? It's always welded to it. So let's have a look. What else have we got here? I'm sorry, guys, if I miss any of your questions. I am trying to pick them out, but I'm like 30 comments behind. There we go. Neil Jackson, what is the best prepper related book you own? I'll let you go, Brian, while I look for mine.
I've got to be honest, I still like the classic Lofty Wiseman's SA survival book. I think it's brilliant. It's a really, really good book. And there's lots of good ones out there, and I've got loads of them. But I just think it's hard to beat. It's got so much good information on it. So, yeah, covers everything.
In my super organized pile here, I don't know where it actually is at the moment, but the SAS was one of my favorite ones as well. I love the SAS survival guide. What I will say with that is don't just buy one, put it in your pocket, think I've got that, I'll survive. Yeah. Try the stuff, because some of the snares and things like that, don't try it with, your cat, but just try it with putting a stick in there and see if it trips. But some of the snares, it is one of those practice things, and you don't want to be learning when you're starving. All right. So look through the book and use it. That's the tip I'd give you. The best one I got as well, it's about the same sort of size. It's done by Collins. I can't remember who the author is, but it's Food for Free. And it's just a little pocket handbook, same size as the SAS pocket survival guide if you've got the small one. And it's just everything you can eat in the wild, and based in the UK. So that's a really cool one to have, because we can always have a nettle salad when the tins run out. Kelly's is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm not sure that's gonna. So you don't need preps. All you need is a towel, right? That's the lesson from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've got to put it up because Bob gave me a donation, but it's always something surreal with Bob. German prisoner of war camp joke today. We shall have the change of underpants, block A and B, small change with blocks C and D.
I don't know what to say to that. I've got to be honest. I'm stuck.
Bob's a regular. He's quite surreal. Love it. Miss Worm says best prepper book is the SOE Guide for Agents in World War II. Fantastic for self-defense. There you go. That's not one I've seen. So
I've seen that one. I'll look out for it. And
Miss Worm has posted Scottish Preppers channel. Thank you, Miss Worm. You're a star.
Thank you.
She should be in here somehow highlighting questions for me. It'd make my life a lot easier. Let's go to the previous ones again. This one you can answer better than me. I have a question. Which brand of power station would you recommend? A number of US channels use petrol/diesel ones. For me, that's going to be a finite solution anyway, where I'm looking at when fuel runs out and when fuel starts to go bad, because it does. You want to be looking at solar and alternatives for me. You might have more of an insight into that one, Brian.
I've went with both, to be honest. So there's pluses and minuses. Diesel generators, the fuel will stay stable longer. The generators are more expensive. So it's a trade-off between a more expensive generator and a more stable fuel source. For me, I went with a petrol generator that I recycle the jerry cans into my car for work. So it's always replenished. And then if the shit ever did hit the fan, I'll add an additive and hope that does its thing. But I would only use a generator when there was enough ambient noise so that people don't, oh, he's got power or whatever. You know, you don't want to be advertised there. What you've got, you can avoid it. And possibly use it when there's not enough ambient light to generate, you know, charge up your solar. But for me, the EcoFlow products take a lot of beating. I think they're pretty much the best on the market. So I would probably skip the diesel or petrol and just get a decent solar generator.
Yeah, especially if that's like your first choice. Maybe after the fact you could get an extra generator if you wanted, but as the first choice, definitely. Because it could be the only choice if it's the first thing you buy and something happens. What's your favorite conspiracy theory? Was asked by Osprey468. This is an interesting one. Mine's not really a prepper one. So have you got a prepper one before I just ramble on about something that's not prepper related?
No, I don't actually.
No?
Well, COVID.
Is that a conspiracy theory?
Well, I only know that I got sick after taking the Jags, mate. That's my kind of take on it. So, and
that's this video demonetized. Thanks for the donations, guys. It's all we're getting. Don't worry, that's all right. I'm joking. It's fine.
The other thing they did say was that all these unvaxxed people, if they didn't take the Jags, would be burying them in the street. Well, they're all still walking about there. So.
Yeah, the thing is, I think it was loads of people giving loads of information when none of them had a clue. That was just the whole thing of it. Yep. And when we in the lack of real facts, you know, the best rumor wins, right? My favorite conspiracy theory, not because of a fatality, but is the whole JFK thing. I've been there. I've been to Dallas. I've seen the little X that's painted on the road. I've been in the book depository. You cannot make that shot. I don't care how good you are. In the window he allegedly shot from, especially at the speed he was going. I mean, well trained maybe, but I've read every book going on that conspiracy theory. And then Red Dwarf did an episode on it, which, you know, completely blew the top off that as well. So he shot himself apparently in a future instance. So yeah, spoilers.
That's a good JFK one. That's excellent. There's no way that was anything other than a hit. It just depends who you believe did it.
Well, I mean, it's classic. Like, you know, the shooter gets taken out. The guy that took out the shooter gets taken out afterwards as well. You know, it's just covering tracks galore. So it was very interesting to actually be there and see it, because you can read all the books and you can watch the documentaries, but to look at the angle and think, hang on, and they're like, oh, that yeah. And they tell you, like, the scenery, like that tree wasn't quite there, that was a bit smaller, and it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, that was that one. Let's go back to the chat and see where Lilith's first comment I see is Lilith saying the grassy knoll. Neil Jackson says, what's the one skill you think you are missing at the moment? Let me think. I would say knowing everything I need to know about alternative powers. So the solar power stuff, like I say, I speak to Brian, I speak to Steve, the everyday prepper, and Kelly, who was on the channel the other day, Monkey Wrench. He's give me loads of information, and all these people I can pick the brains of, but I've not really sat down and learned what I need to learn. So that's probably the one for me. Anything for you, Ryan?
One skill I'm missing at the moment, self-discipline and fitness. I'm waiting on surgery, so my excuse of not going to the gym because of that, I've got chunky and I'm not fit. And if you're not physically fit, a lot of your preps fall by the wayside. So IJD. So yeah, my aspiration is after I get fixed, I will go back to the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because it's one of those things. A few prepper channels like myself, I know eMurph, Striving for Self-Sufficiency, have done videos on the fitness side of things, and nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. If they're an unfit prepper at home, but they've got 300 cans of beans and 200 shotgun rounds, they think they're sorted.
That's
as soon as you start talking to as soon as you start talking to them about fitness, that's it. It's just not interested.
But it's true. I mean, I used to be in the gym every day 2-3 hours a day. And things happened and my fitness went out the window. But you don't just turn out fat. Your eating habits go to shit. Your sleeping patterns go to crap. So it's an act of discipline that's gone wrong. So I'm the shape I am because of bad choices I made. And I just need to sort that once I get stitched.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least you've got that excuse. There you go. I've just been lazy for the last month. So, but yeah, it's one of those things that you might have all the survival gear in the world, but if the diabetes gets you next week, then that's what it is. So
I just need to improvise my washing stick and a wheelchair mount. 2 little blocks.
I wash myself with a rag on a stick. Deegs ISG says, your thoughts on MAG groups, mutual assistance groups. Me, I love the idea. Have I got one? I'm trying. But it wouldn't be where I am. And I don't want to set it up where I am because I am looking to move. And then obviously you've got to assess your neighbours at the time and stuff. But I am trying to build more of a larger network of people that you can rely on, because no matter what happens in this country, it's still a tiny country compared to like the States and things like that. So if I had to go down to Josh to help him out, who's the disabled camper, and that's going to take me 4 days to get down there, I could plan for that. So I do like the idea of MAGs. It'd be great to be a local one for me, but it's just not possible at the moment. What about you, Brian?
I'm totally on board with the idea and principle. The problem is finding enough like-minded people in a tight enough geographical location that you could mutually support one another in the first place.
Yeah.
I've tried to broach the subject locally with neighbours by using the 72-hour government announcement as a talking point and injecting a bit of humour. But it's a hard sell. So I'm fortunate I've got family close by that are... That was a brilliant Red Dwarf episode. That was random. So, yeah, I would love to have one. I've got family that are on board, but nah, I've not got one. I'd love to do it, but there's not interest.
Not interested. Is it something you keep chipping away at, or is it just a case of, right, you've settled for the fact that's not going to happen?
Well, no, I'll never give up, because every person that gets on board and looks after themselves is less of a drain on your resources and one less potential threat around the corner.
Yeah. This is an interesting one, especially considering we've just had the bushcraft show, which I wanted to go to but didn't make it this time. I'll be there next time. Do you have any value? Do you have a value in primitive technology skills, i.e., flint knapping, bow making, etc.? That's from Total Utter Nutter. Great username. What do you think of that? I mean, personally, like I say, I'm planning for prep without power. I suppose that's not really primitive, but there's always elements of that.
I mean, I would view that question as the same as Bugout. Nice to have skills and do it as a last resort. Before I gave up the tools and became a grease monkey with a tie, I was a hands-on engineer rather than a sharp tie one. So, and I still keep my hands in building things. So I'm relatively handy, and I keep old primitive tools and lots of nails and screws and stuff. I think everybody should have an old manual drill, a hammer, a saw, a couple of saws, a big box of nails and some lock wire and thread, because you just can't go wrong with any of that.
Yeah.
But as far as making flint knap and bow making, etc., I don't know how to do that.
Something interests you?
I did a knife making class last year, like the forged fire thing. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
What I would say is it looks much easier on the TV than it was in reality. It was, but it's something to do if you just give it a bash. It's really good fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love the idea of the primitive thing. I think when I go to the bushcraft show, I'll definitely get my hands stuck in and involved with it, because it's just something to do. And I could see the value of it in a really worst case scenario. Like, you're separated from everyone, you're separated from preps, you're separate, and you have to start a fire, or you have to create something like a spear or a bow to hunt. I do see the value in it, but I think that's a very edge case for me. It's not a question, but it's a good point. Miss Worm says mental fitness too. A negative attitude will seriously hamper anyone in SHTF. Yeah, we've said this many times on the Prepper Fireside, on the Prepper podcast, all over the place. Don't let this stuff consume you. Don't let it take your life. Still go out. Brian very well said in one of his videos the other day, just film in the beachfront, enjoy life. So, excuse me.
See, backing onto the question earlier that the guy was on about mutual assistance groups, the mental fitness thing comes into that as well. Don't bring somebody into a group that is dead negative, that's a glass half empty. They'll suck the life out of the group. Somebody that's enjoying it, that enjoys aspects of prepping, that they see value in it, they get a bit of fun and humour out of it. That's the people that you want to mix with. But you don't want to mix with somebody like Droopy, the cartoon dog that's depressed all the time. Oh, God, no.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I've said. And when it comes to physical abilities, I think it's less relevant. It's great to have the physically fit team on, but you watch any of these Survivor TV series and stuff like that. The physically fit team always does well in challenges, but then they're all freezing because none of them know how to start a fire. The guy that might not be able to do all the heavy lifting might have a lot of knowledge that's worth and, can do something. There's always jobs to be done around that people are able to. Neil Jackson, if you had to bug out, how long would it take you from alert to leaving the house? I assume that means how ready are you to bug out? I've got my grab box. I think it's one of the very early videos I did. And it's just like a fold up crate. And it's almost got everything what I started with when I started prepping. So it's got not the food side of things, but your fire starting kit, your first aid kit and stuff like that. It is a box of literally, that's what you're going to need. And I've got an empty one of these folding boxes. So my plan is about 5 to 6 minutes. You can open this folding box, put all the tins into that as much as you can fit. Both them boxes go in the car and we're on the road. There's already kits in the car as well. So that's mine kind of alert. How ready are you, Brian?
It depends the scenario. If there was still vehicles on the road, then 15 minutes, because the van's ready to go. It's got its own power and water and toilets and heating and that sort of shit. Excuse the language, sorry.
Late night talk, you can say shit all you want.
Sorry, kids. So I'd say 15 minutes, and that's purely to take some things out of cupboards and boxes to put into things that were in the cupboard to put in the back of the van and some more extra food. But I'd say 15 minutes. 15
minutes. There you go. I beat you. My 6. You'll be more prepared than me, though.
I'll run you over on the road, though.
I'll be trying to find somewhere to charge me battery after the first 100 miles. If you've got any more last minute questions, get them in. I think I've only got one left on the pre-asked one, and I've gone to the bottom of the chat. So any questions you want to get in now, quickly get them in. The last question is it's very random. Do you prefer bug out in a tent or a hammock? Tent. I'm just gonna answer tent. I just I like the luxuries of a tent. Have you got a preference, a hammock or tent, Ryan? It's not really a question you can really deeply dive into.
Depends. I mean, if I'm out in the kayak and I'm going to an island and there's enough trees, I'll take the hammock purely on the weight. And I like swinging in a hammock, listening to the water lapping on the shore. So, in the wind and the trees. So the hammock's got appeal, but the tent with the right gear is more comfortable. But you carry a lot more shit.
Interestingly enough, because it's in bug out situation, is a hammock does it not hinder where you can stop? You want to stealth camp and stuff like that. I mean, you've got to find trees the right distance apart.
The only thing it kind of hinders is that because you'll have your fly sheet for your hammock anyway, so you could use a walking pole and string a line and make a lean-to or whatever if you really had to with the fly sheet for the hammock. The only kind of downside would be if you don't have any tarps, you're sleeping on the ground.
Yeah.
But it's I'm okay with them. They've both got merit.
There we go. They're so random, some of these questions. I'm
I
surprised.
would say if I was in a hammock at the moment, there'd be two trees crying. It's a two bent like this with me in the middle. They'd be cracking branches, mate.
I stepped on the scales the other day. I'm the biggest I've been. So
I'm actually lighter than I was when I was training by about 2 stone, but my body comp shifted 30% the wrong way.
Yeah, this is it.
It's not a good swing.
It'd be good if it was 2 stone of muscle, but you know.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
What's Miss Worm? We've got 2 backpacks packed, and we've all got to do is put the cats in the baskets because we ain't leaving them behind. You've got to set the cats free, right? If you bug out.
No, take mobile food with you. That's a lot of protein in Mr. Corky.
Yeah, we call this a snack cat. You've got pets, Ryan. Have you? How much thought goes into that when it comes to bugging in, bugging out, and stuff like that? Because the pet food, whether it's dog, cat, iguana, or anything, it takes up a lot of room, a lot of space. It's a lot to think about. How much of that do you put into your thoughts, or is it a case of, my cat would just be like set free? I think.
I look at the dogs as part of the family, rightly or wrongly, and I couldn't leave them any more than I could leave the kids. In fact, sometimes I'd probably leave the kids more than the dogs. Dogs are less stressful, but I couldn't leave them behind. And if that meant I was skipping a meal or two to feed them, then do you know what? I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it, mate.
No. Well, I get you. I'd probably be the same if I had some nice pets, but I've not. I've got a cat. Don't like him. He don't like me. JD said, I got a question. At what point would it be wise to leave the UK? Is it part of anyone's bug out plans? What do you think of that, Brian? Have you put any thoughts to emigration?
Yeah, but financial realities dictate most people couldn't do that. If there was a time to do it, I would do it now, and I'd be in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because if there's any conflict or anything like that, it's not going to hit there. The chances of anything going wrong there, as opposed to anywhere else in the world, is probably the safest bet. But for most people, same reason we don't have a bunker in the back garden, financial availability of resources, it's just not going to work.
Yeah. And she says, at what point would it be wise to leave the UK?
I'd go now.
Go now. Before the election.
For a lot of reasons, I'd have left now. If I was taking all my family with me, and I had the money, I'd have left by now.
Yeah, I'm the same. Probably not going to as safe a place as you, because I'd love to emigrate to the States, but
I'd go to Texas if I had the choice.
Yeah, well, that's where I've been. I've been to Texas. The place I want to emigrate there, I've not been to, which is near Houston. But that's just because the tech industry's there, so I can actually make some money as well. Good question from JD there. Let's quickly scan down. Final question from Neil. Neil Jackson's been on the ball. He should be hosting. What would your bug out playlist consist of? There we go. That's a cracking question.
Go for it, mate. You can go first and I'll start laughing.
For me, I've got data sticks with loads of music on, like libraries of music, and I'm very eclectic. Like I like all sorts. I can listen to opera, I can listen to classical music, I can listen to hip hop, all sorts. If it was a case of on the road playlist, it's going to be a very obscure mix between country music and AC/DC, probably intermittent and that kind of thing. But yeah, I've got a massive collection of music and it's hard for me to pick. Buddy Holly has to be in there somewhere for me as well. So I couldn't do a Desert Island disc. I'd have too much choices.
I've got to be the same, mate. My answer would be the same. I've got an eclectic taste. It would be anything from Tim McGraw, Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, to Metallica, Whitesnake, Kiss, and even classical music, and techno and everything in between.
I can't take Metallica. You know why? I love Metallica, but because of my years and hours on Guitar Hero, as soon as I hear a Metallica song, I start doing this, and it's just it's like a trauma response. So I'd miss Guitar Hero too much. Plus, the cats can keep the rodents in check. Lilith says, "You're not convincing me. You've not met my cat. Meet my cat, and then we'll have the discussion." Footloose. Footloose, says Lilith. There you go. Oh my! Lilith says, "Take that, Prey." I'm sorry, Lilith. I think that's one thing that's not in my eclectic collection is Take That.
I've actually got that on my phone list. That's how bad my playlist is. It's really. It's got the theme tune to Star Trek on it and everything. It's weird crap.
Have you got this one though? Miss Worm says, "Donald, where's your trousers?"
Oh God, no! I've not went that far yet.
Caledonia Sky. That's a cracking song. That's a recent one that I like as well. If your 25-year shelf life food is spoiled 2 weeks into SHTF for some magical reason, it's too late to get your money back. Do you these expensive specialist emergency food preps are just a gimmick? Yeah. Do you think they're just a gimmick? The 25 years. I'll let you go first because I've done a video on this.
I've done one on the Mountain House stuff, and it's really expensive. It's really expensive in the UK, and it tastes okay, but I wouldn't buy a lot of it purely in the price point because just keep buying tins and rotate into your normal food stock, and don't buy anything that you've not taste tested first, because you're just going to potentially stock up a lot of shit. Like Total Nutters just said, in 25 years or 10 years or whatever, if something goes wrong, you're not going to contact trading standards if there's no power or something's went wrong with society. So
where are you bugging out to? I'm bugging out to this address. Where's ReadyWise based? I'm going to kill them.
See, their food looks absolutely rotten. I've got to be honest, that looks rank.
Honestly, they sent me this, and when they sent it me, I said, "Listen," I said, "you send it me, and it's horrible. I'm going to be honest. Food was good. Genuinely, the food was good. I had one that I didn't like, and I put a video up of the one I didn't like as well. So, no bias here. The stroganoff was unreal. I'd just eat that all day long if I could. The problem, which I told them, I sent them an email about this. The problem is it comes in sachets, and the sachets are a portion of 4, right? And not a realistic one. For a big guy, it's probably a portion for 1, but it's a portion for 4. So I'm like, okay, so this is only practical for cooking for 4. Oh no, just use half. You can't, because the powder drops to the bottom and the pasta's at the top. So how do you evenly split it?
Yeah.
Whereas you go to Asda, you can get the single portion pasta meals, which is just 1 meal. That's the only downfall with it. I think the food is good. Whether it lasts 25 years or not, I'll let you know in 25 years. I'll keep a packet and I'll do a video in 2049 and we'll see how it is.
If they want 25, so Total Nutter, if you're looking for 25 years shelf life food, buy stuff out of Tesco, Asda, Morrison's. Get a big 10 kilogram bag of rice and some mylar, stick in some oxygen absorbers, stick it in a box, stored properly, and forget about it, right? For all it's cost you, see in 10 years' time, stick it in the bin. You could open it up and go to the boiler and test it and all the rest of it. Fling it in the bin, right? Just stick it in the bin. That kind of stuff is a stable to keep. It'll do you a lot better than Mountain House, Augustin Farm, or ReadyWise, or all this other shit that costs a fortune.
Yeah.
Although, when I go to Florida, I'm going to buy some of that Augustin Farm, the tin stuff, and bring it back in my case. So I'll do a video on it and tell you if it's any good.
Yeah, I mean, I see the benefit of it. Like the box of the 25-year, like it's sold out, or they also do it in like a dry grab bag. I see the benefit if you're living in a flat, You haven't got the space because if you get a month's worth of tins, that's a lot of space.
What weight?
It's a lot of weight as well. So it does have its benefits, but there is alternatives out there. The alternatives don't claim to last 25 years, but they might still do. Again, use your nose and your taste buds. If it's moldy, if it's moving before you've cooked it, don't eat it.
It's all protein. It's all protein. Get about it.
You'll be all right. I've realised how bad some of we've got all sorts. Muppets tune. Lou Ballou says for music. Corn. I don't mind corn. Chaz and Dave says Monkey Wrench, which is interesting coming from the States.
That's got to be. He's trolling us. He's definitely trolling us.
I'll take Chaz and Dave over this any day. Anton Deck. No, thank you. Muppets theme. Oh my, you guys are just insane.
I had a strange image there of Monkey Wrench with spoons doing Chaz and Dave like this, banging away on it in front of the keyboard. There's an image I don't need. Thanks very
much. Monkey Red says, I prefer cans or tins, liquid included, 5 to 10 years shelf life, no cooking needed, no extra water needed, and cheap. That's a good point because you are using up your water supply with a lot of that stuff. So only if you've got an abundance. And the 5 to 10 year shelf life is a roll of the dice. I don't know if you saw it. It was quite a while ago now, but they did a test and they opened tins from like the end of World War II. And the carrots came out and they'd lost 20% of the color, like 16% of the nutrition, but they were still edible. And it was all like that. Nothing was unedible. They opened, which was quite interesting. Obviously, don't forget the compromising of the tin. Make sure there's no dents in it and stuff like that. That's key. This is a practical question. How much butane camping gas stove would a family of 3 need in 2 weeks? Depends on the stove you're talking about, but I've got one of the single hob ones with the long cans of gas. These ones here. Now, funnily enough, the reason that's only got 2 in is because I've just been since doing the video on it, I've left it on the bench and I've just been cooking on it because it's been so nice to cook on gas instead of my electric hob that I've just been using it and I'm replacing them. But one of these is probably lasting me 4 or 5 days cooking every single day on it, twice a day. So they're good. They last quite a while. And for me, it's all about optimizing your cooking as well. You can soak pasta in water overnight. A lot of people don't realize, and then it takes half the time to cook. You can heat something up and then you can put it into a box, I think with hay, but you can buy the special boxes as well. That just, you put it in a rice, for example, you bring it to the boil, put it in the pan, put it in this hay box, leave it for an hour, come back, it's cooked off its own heat. So optimize your cooking as well. Have you had experience with the other cans, Brian? Do you know, like the little round? I've never used really them because they seem to burn fast then.
Well, I've got, on a slightly similar note, I've got a 2.7 kilogram butane canister, which is about maybe that size. It's not that huge. And that's been in the camper van. I put it in 3 years ago. And we only finished using it about a month and a half ago. And that was from full. So, and that's, we were away virtually every other weekend, a couple of weeks down in England touring. So it lasts a long time. And if there's 3 people, you're going to be cooking probably twice a day. And you'll be batch cooking for the 3 people at once anyway. So for those tins that you're talking about, I'd say probably about 4 would probably do you for a fortnight. Easily. You probably have some left over. Like I say, and again, optimize your own cooking and think about what you're making. You know, don't start putting something on a gas hob that's going to be a slow cook for 3 hours because you know it's going to run out. Was a good question. Warzone was wondering that. Y'all keep talking amongst yourselves. It's fine. I've been eating 5-year out of date tins of little chili con carne. Bought loads of them when big cans were £1, and they're still great. That's great. There you go.
There you go. If you can eat now what the prices were in the shops 5 years ago, you're a rich man. them chili con carne tins are about £2 odd at now, aren't they?
Even Irish stew, when I was buying that at the start, it was like £1.5 a tin. Now it's like £2.50. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's the cost of living is just ridiculous. Okay, here we go. Miss Worm's going to correct me. This is what she does. Pasta, no need to soak. Put it in boiling water and turn the heat off. Takes the same time. Just have a decent lid on the pan. Yeah. There's all sorts of methods. I've also seen it where people put it in a tall jar, the spaghetti, put water in the bottom, then close it and let the steam just do the job there. So, yeah, optimize your cooking is what I'd recommend there. And you want to learn how to do that now, not when you're on your last can of gas. So... yeah, don't start rationing when there's only a amount of ration food left. I think we're coming to the end. Otherwise, we're just going to be going on all night with random weird questions. Anything you'd like to add before we go, Brian?
No, I'm all good. The thing I liked about that is it gives people a chance to ask questions and it promotes discussion.
Yeah.
Because there's been and there isn't any silly questions or stupid questions. Everybody's here for the same reason. And it's good to talk.
Why did you say that? You're just challenging them to put silly and stupid questions in.
Bunch.
Well, watch out on the community page of the channel, guys. I'm going to put a post up in the next couple of days and ask you for questions. That's not just for me and Brian, but for everyone that joins us on the Prepper Fireside. And we're going to do a big Q&A with your asked questions on there with all four of us, so get them in. There was one last question. Sorry, I'd meant to touch on this. I know I said we're finishing, but he put it onto the chat just before I left. I can't remember your username, so I do apologize. But he said, what special considerations do you need to have for a disabled prepper? Now, I'm not going to answer you directly, but I am going to put that straight into the Fireside one because we have Josh, the disabled camper. So make sure you tune in for that one. So for the guy that asked that question, I just wanted to address that because he did put it on there. So, you know, other than that, would you like to say goodbye to the peoples?
Goodbye to the peoples.
Yes. And thank you for the people that donated. Much appreciated. Thank you for Miss Worm for always correcting me and posting people's channel links. I do appreciate all the mods and all the members of the channel. Thanks very much. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Yeah.